way, you said something very interesting, Joseph. We have a industry insider lingo called buying the listing. I don't know if you heard of this, buying the listing.
Mhm.
Can you guess what that is?
Basically, you get the property listed, and then you you sell it to somebody else for a fee split or something. That's what it sounds like.
Well, okay, yeah. So buying the listing is it's a common terminology in real estate sales training, and that's where I go to a seller and I know they want X for the property, right? And they're very anchored into that price. And so I go there. So I do what every other real estate agent has done, except I've done it correctly. I've done the market analysis, right? And I've gone there, usually before I go to a listing appointment, and every good agent should do this. It would be like, hey, Joseph, if you were on a game show and you had to guess for $1 million what a buyer would realistically pay for your house today, what would that be? I go, no, I don't know. I don't care what you want. I want to know what you think a rational, sane person that hasn't had too much to drink, okay, what they would pay for your property today. And they'll give me a number. And then sometimes that number is close to what I think that value is. And by the way, that answer is not going to affect my opinion, right? It's not going to
Mhm.
affect what I
Yeah.
think it is, but I just want to know where their head's at. So it's like, okay, sometimes it's close. Like, so if it's like within like a certain number of standard deviations, it's like, this is not going to be difficult for us. But sometimes it can be way off. Now, sometimes it's way off because they think that what they're going to tell me is going to change what I am going to tell them or think or something like that, which is not the case. And sometimes they're just wrong. And a lot of times the lower the equity, the more aspirational they are. Yeah, the more they need the money, the more crazy that number seems to appear. And of course, as we know, the market doesn't care what you think or what you want. It's just buyers out there buying in the market. There's a choice that every agent has to make in this business. You're either going to be a straight shooter and tell people the truth, and you have to be okay with you might lose that business.
Mhm.
You know, if business is scarce, if you're going through a dry period, you may be tempted. The devil on the left side here might be tempting you to buy that listing. In other words, telling them, quoting them, if you will, a price that it will not sell for. And the idea is that a motivated seller will get their head bashed in by the market. And then eventually they will come to their senses and realize, okay, Jeremy, I got to sell this property. Okay, then we start going into the price reductions. Now, in a declining market, that's a disaster, right? Because now we're chasing the market down and you're going to end up selling it for less than you would have sold it for. But the other way is to say, hey, look, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I've done what every other agent has done, except I've done it correctly. I've done a market analysis. Near as I can figure, your home is worth X. And you know what? It is what it is, because here's the other part of it, Joseph. If you don't do that, you're like the other two agents that you fired or let go, right?
Mhm.
Because it
Yeah.
doesn't sell, right?